Hi, my name is Carlos. I'm the manager of online programming and community development here at Gender Spectrum. Today we're going to be talking about gender. This week in gender. So we're literally just going through, combing the internet, finding things that are kind of trending around the idea of gender and whatever construction that is. Our goal is to present This Week in Gender, is what we're calling it, to you in less than 10 minutes.
So my name is Lisa Kenny. I'm the executive director at Gender Spectrum, and I really love the name This Week in Gender. It says it all, and I think we're ready to take our first topics. And the whole point is really to just have a conversation, not only with ourselves, but with you, and hopefully you'll join in a positive, not trolly kind of weird way. But
Yes, please.
Please do. Please contribute to the conversation. Yeah. All right, Carlos, what's your first topic?
Okay, first topic. I heard about it this weekend. I was driving and was just kind of scrolling on the internet, and a rapper by the name of Young Thug, I guess, is coming out with his debut album, and he decided to wear a kind of like high-end fashion designer dress,
Nice.
with this really interesting hat, and there was a lot of backlash. Well, there's both backlash, but there's also support. A lot of people were kind of, pairing the idea of like, oh, well, this guy must be gay, or, he can't be a thug if he's dressed, in a dress or whatnot. But then a lot of people were saying like, no, he's being himself. He's being unique. He's expressing himself how he sees fit. And I was talking to someone about it, and they said, well, yeah, there's actually a lot of speculation that he's gay
because
he likes to wear women's clothing. So I thought that was really interesting. And, it's hip hop culture, it's rap culture, it's intersectionality of what it means to be, a black man in America. It's the idea of like masculinity, and there's a lot of, I think, layers to that. And, not a lot of
including
things
how we gender clothing.
Exactly.
So like,
exactly,
it's women's clothing instead of just clothing.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's a lot of that. Like, we don't necessarily need the answer to what all of that is. And certainly there's a lot of it that I can't speak to, right? But I think just kind of putting it out there of like, look, let's actually talk about what some of those things mean.
Right. And why do things like that feel so uncomfortable to us? I mean, and especially what's really interesting to me, and this is going to also relate in a minute, you'll find out about my topic, which is, what does it mean about, how's masculinity constructed today, right? And so, the truth is we give girls and women a lot more room. If a girl or a woman wears pants, we don't say, oh, then that means she's a lesbian, although she may. I just want to say.
She very well could be.
But it doesn't mean anything. Sexual orientation and gender are two completely different things. And so what does that mean, and why are we upset? And what does that mean to be a male who also thinks, hey, this actually is comfortable, or expresses who I am in a way that's important to me?
Right, exactly. And I think it's definitely not the first time that people have done that. Something that comes to mind from the 90s was Dennis Rodman, right? Like being really progressive in terms of what he was wearing and how he was expressing his identity, his gender identity. So I think it's really interesting, like how we've gendered things that we wear, right? Like it's just so fascinating.
Right. So I think it is really interesting. It relates to, as I said, sort of my topic for this week is this conversation that people are having around Donald Trump and his hands. And this isn't a political observation. That's a separate thing for people to decide on their own. But I think this whole idea about that we use the size of Donald Trump's hands as an indication of his masculinity and his manhood, I think is really problematic. I mean, it's a really interesting thing to me that we have this conversation culturally. I mean, the Republican primary, these televised debates, and they're all sort of talking about hands, and then he feels the need to respond about the size of his hands.
That's what's so crazy.
When nobody acknowledges the actual thing, which is we've made this cultural assumption about the size of a man's hands being related to the size of his penis, which is also somehow supposed to relate to how much of a man he is. It has no correlation, and yet we have this conversation, and people are laughing about it. The whole statue thing that's been created,
especially in San Francisco too, in the Castro, they had a statue that they've put up, and then they took it down, and then one of the representatives is like, no, we should actually make this a semi-permanent piece, and people are saying, no, like there's a lot of body shaming, there's a lot of transphobia, and kind of focused around this sculpture and the lack of placing a penis on Donald Trump and presenting his body in the way that they did, and then we're critiquing his body, not his politics, right?
And having a conversation about the things that are people really need to be talking about, but instead we sort of try to shorthand that, and try to emasculate him. instead of dealing with whatever it is. If you want to deal with the politics, deal with the politics. If you don't, or you're supportive, that's okay too. It's really just trying to figure out, okay, but let's separate the gender issue and let's stop taking these sort of gendered ideas about bodies and about their tie or lack of tie to what makes us a man or a woman or a different sex or gender. So I think that's, I mean, it's an interesting topic, and obviously we're not trying to solve that here, but it's worth naming that that's what's going on, and just like, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Young Thug.
Young Thug. I wanted to call him Big Thug, but Young Thug. But just like with Young Thug, I mean, so he identifies as straight and cisgender?
Yes, yeah. That's from the research that I saw, straight, cisgendered. I guess there's speculation that he's gay.
There's speculation about lots of things.
You could speculate anything, I think.
Right. Bottom line is, what does he say about himself, if those are his pronouns? And if he says he's cisgendered, then who are we to say that he's not, right?
Right.
And besides, who cares? Right? It's just, you know, if he wants to wear a dress, right on. If I say, if you can rock it, you should wear it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's my personal motto, but I
mean, shoot, I would wear, if I could wear like a high-end dress like that, even the, I'm gonna have to show you a picture, and at home, like, Google it, Young Thug dress, and chime in and let us know what you think. Yeah. But I think absolutely, like, it's such a beautiful piece of clothing, right? And I guess he saw it, I forget the backstory, but he saw it somewhere and was like, I want to wear that on the cover of my debut album. Why not?
Well, then why shouldn't he?
And it's not the first time that he's worn dresses in public. And there's been some backlash. But now that he's rising, I think, in popularity within kind of the hip-hop rap scene, but then also like kind of breaking way into more of a larger pop culture, now people are starting to want to talk about it, right? Of like, well, let's unpack that, and why is he doing that? And, you know, again, you can't be a thug if you dress like a girl or like a gay guy or something like that.
Right. Yeah, so there's all that stuff is intertwined in there, hard to sort of separate out. It's just a great example, though, that we sort of make this correlation between gender and sexual orientation, and they're not related in the ways we think about it. We think about bodies, and that you know somebody's gender identity based on what they wear, which you don't. But it's really hard, because the truth is, as a society, we're really figuring this out. We're learning a lot. There's a lot of understanding that we have yet to create with one another. And I think that's the point of this discussion, is to just sort of, let's take a few minutes every week and let's talk about some of these things and put it out there. And we'd love to hear what you all think about it. And
again, be nice.
Yeah, be nice. Would you?
We're not trying to find the answers. We just want to have the conversation.
Yeah, we acknowledge up front we don't have any answers.
No.
But we do have a lot of great questions.
And
hopefully you do too. And hopefully then together we'll sort of have this discussion, and we'll try to figure some things out together. And along the way, we'll all be better people, and hopefully create better and more inclusive societies. So that would be awesome if that ended up being true.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So
tune in next week. I'm sure something's
going to come up around gender, that we're sure.
Absolutely. Again, my name is Carlos, and this is Lisa. And tune in again next week, and we'll be talking about gender this week.
Thanks a lot.
Next week.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everyone.